Robet. In this video, we will be doing an activity based on the phases of the moon. In this first part, I just want to show you the materials that you'll need. One, scissors or a box cutter. Now there's one part during this activity where a box cutter would work better than the scissors, but if scissors is all you have, that's still fine. Next, something to write with, and if you want, you can have something to color with as well, but as long as you have something to write with, that's more than enough. Next, you'll need a stapler, something to trace a nice size circle with. You don't want it too big. Mine could be a little bit bigger, but that's kind of all I have. So something a little bit bigger, but again, not too big, and definitely not too small. Now, not to say you don't need something small to trace with, because you will. Something about this size will work, but if it's a little bit bigger, that's fine. And then you'll want a ruler. I actually couldn't find a ruler, so I got this instant holder. And as long as it's something firm that you can trace with, that's all you need, because we're not really going to be measuring anything. And then, of course, you'll need paper. 3 pieces of paper and maybe some extras just in case, if you mess up, you have a little paper to fix your mistake. But, all right, that's it. That's all the materials you need. I will see you in the next part. All right, in this next part, you're going to trace your opening. As you can see, I've already done it, but I will explain how I got here. It's probably obvious, but I'm going to explain anyway. So first, you'll take your biggest tracer, make sure you center it on your paper as best you can, and then you trace it. After you traced it, put the trace part on the outside, and you grab the long ends of the paper, you fold it back. Again, make sure the trace part is on the outside. After you do that, you would take your scissors and you would cut the shape out. You can cut on top of the lines or you can cut beside the lines, as long as you cut the shape out. Now, if you have a blade, you don't have to do this folding part. The folding part is just for those who have scissors. It just makes it easier to cut your paper without destroying it in the process. Okay, so now you have your opening. And ignore my lemon-shaped moon. I didn't center my cup as well as I thought I did, and it led to this. Now with your opening, you're going to take a piece of paper, another piece of paper, and put it under that. Make sure they're lined up. Then you're going to use your opening to guide you as you trace the back paper. I'm not doing it because I've already done it. Okay, lemon moon. Now after you finish tracing your paper, to give your moon a more moon look, you can add in details. So I put little sketch marks in there to give the little crater look. Now, after you add your details to your moon, well, at least for this part, you're done. In the next part, we're going to be drawing the phases of the moon. So, see you then. Okay, in this next part, you're going to be drawing the phases of the moon. I've already started, so let me just catch you up on what I've done so far. So first, take your ruler or whatever you have to trace a straight line with, and put one end lined up against the edge of your paper, and then trace the line on the opposite side until you get all the way across, and do the same thing for the bottom. Once you do that and you have your 2 boxes, inside the boxes you're going to take your small circular tracer and you're going to trace 5 circles inside the box at the top and 5 circles inside the box at the bottom. As there are actually 10 phases of the moon. Once you draw your 5 moons, we're going to write the name of each of the phases and write them in this order. So the first one is new moon. The second one is young moon. Third is waxing crescent. The fourth is waxing quarter. The fifth is waxing gibbous. Oh, and just in case you don't know, gibbous is spelled Gibbous. Okay, so that's the first 5 moons. And then the next 5, starting with this one, the first one at the bottom, is the full moon. Next is the waxing gibbous again. And again, that's Gibbous. The third is waxing quarter. The fourth, waxing crescent. And the last one, old moon. Okay. Now, after you've labeled all of your moons, we're going to have to shade them in to show the actual different phases. So for the first one, the new moon, this one will be shaded in completely. And you can just do a simple back and forth like that to shade it in. For the young moon, you want to draw a crescent going to your left and then shade in the bigger part. For your waxing crescent, you're going to draw a crescent again, but you're going to make it a little bit bigger. And then again, shade in the bigger part. Fourth one, you're just going to draw a line right in the middle, or right down the middle, and shade in the left side again. So the moons on the top, we're shading in the left sides. Okay, and then the last one, the waxing gibbous, you're going to draw a crescent, but this time the crescent is going to be small like the young moon, but it's going to be facing the right side. But you still shade in the left side. So after you do the top part, it'll be the opposite for the bottom. So the full moon, we're going to leave that white. The waxing gibbous, we're going to draw that crescent again. This time it's going to be pointing to the left and make it a bit small. But you're going to shade in the right side instead of the left side. Then waxing quarter, you're going to cut that one in half, split it down the middle, and shade the right side. I'll move my hand so you can see. All right, and the waxing crescent. You're gonna make the crescent. Oops. If you're wondering why I seem like I'm walking back and forth, I'm using a reference to help me out. Okay, the waxing crescent. You're going to draw the crescent pointing to the right, but you're going to make it a little bit bigger. But you're still going to shade in the right side. And then the old moon, you're going to make a tiny crescent. And you're going to shade in again the right side. All right. So those are the 10 phases of the moon. On to the next part. Okay, in this next part, we need to cut out what I'm calling the slide, and you'll see what it does in just a moment. First, you need your front part with the opening on it and a fresh sheet of paper. Put the front part on top. Make sure the papers are lined up as best as you can get them. And then, actually no, scratch that. You want to make sure, it doesn't matter which side, but you want it to pull back. Move this out the way. To about as close to the edge without it being exposed. So, here we go. Then we're going to draw, use the outline of the cut opening to draw a circle, to draw the shape. Then you want to do the same thing to the other side. Get it as close as you can without it being exposed like this. And make sure the edges of the papers are at least lined up together. And then trace shape on that side. Oops. All right. Oh, you know what? I forgot the scissors. One moment. All right. Now, on one side of the paper, actually, to make this even easier so you can have a clean cut, take your ruler or whatever you have to trace a straight line with. Try to line it up with the tops of the two circles that you made, because you want to keep both sides as even as possible. After you do that, just draw your line across. This is just a guideline for you, so you know when you cut it, it'll be even. So line it up with the edge of the circles that you traced. Draw a line. All right, there we go. Now we're ready. So first, let's cut this shape that we just made. Let's cut that out. Cut as close to the line as you can. It's fine if you cut over it a little bit, but try to keep your cut as straight as you can. All right, on the side, we're going to follow the outline of the traced circle as best you can. Got a little sloppy cutting right here. cut the same way on the other side. Follow the line. Now this next part, pay attention because we're going to do it a little bit differently on this other circle. Okay, so we can cut this piece off though, we don't need that. I don't know why I stopped right there. Okay, so for this one, we're going to cut a crescent. Well, in like a crescent movement for this other circle. So start on the side of your circle and cut out a crescent shape. Like that. So this is what your end result should be. One should be round, like this, and one should be cut on the inside, making a crescent like this. Okay, let's move this excess paper out of the way. Now this next part, make sure you line everything up right. You're going to take your moon and your opening paper. Make sure everything is lined up. I believe this is, oh no, that's fine, that's fine. There we go. Now your stapler, you're going to staple the corners of the moon paper that should be in the back and your opening paper that should be in the front. I didn't staple. We'll try that again. Okay, that's good. And so after you do that, that paper that you cut, flip it to where the side that doesn't have the trace marks on it, and the opening that you didn't staple, you slide the slider in there. And when you do that, when you pull on the slide, it gives the look of the moon in its different phases. Same way if you slide it to the other side. If I can grab it. Here we go. And there you go. That was our moon phase activity. If you want, you can put some color into it to make the moon and things pop out more. I just kept it simple for the sake of making it easier to explain the steps. And there you go. I hope you enjoy your phases of the moon chart. Well, I do.